Acts chapter 2. Don't worry. I'll take a few minutes out of my message. Y'all like, man, I know we was going to get out at 12. But Pastor added this extra stuff in there. And he's still going to preach his hour-and-a-half message. I promise I will have you out by 2:30. It's still preseason, y'all. Don't trip. It's still preseason. Acts chapter 2. Verses 42 through 47, reading from the English Standard Version. Glad to see all of our family and friends who've been out and traveling, and to all of our guests. We're honored that you came to be with us and hang with us in the old warehouse in Las Colinas, Texas. Yes. Pray that you've enjoyed yourself so far, and we pray that God will give you a word that can help you in your life. 42, it reads, "And they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers. And all came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were being done through the apostles. And all who believed were together and had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. And day by day," somebody shout day by day, "attending the temple together and breaking bread in their homes, they received their food with glad and generous hearts, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their number day by day those who were being saved." I want to preach from the message titled The Forward Church. Somebody shout the Forward Church. The Forward Church. So in January, we revealed and preached the theme, the charge and the challenge for the Link Church this year, which was forward. It was moving forward to progress and be successful in every area of our life. And that charge and that challenge, it wasn't just for the individuals, but it was also for us as a church. And every now and then, don't you think families need to just have a meeting, right? Yes. Every now and then, brother, you just need to sit down with your wife and your kids and just have a meeting and remind them of some things that may have been instituted before. It's kind of like continued education. How many of you have any licenses in here for anything that was issued by the state? Okay, so what happens when you get a license issued by the state, every now and then, whether it's once a year or every few years, you have to take what? What's it called? Continued education, right? And it's just to remind you of some things that you learned before and possibly add in some new things that may have come into play since you took your last class or since you got your license. So I told you guys last week that this month I wanted to kind of take it as a continued education piece. So last week we discussed the link, right? Who we are as a link. And this morning I want to talk about the Forward Church. I actually preached this text probably about 2 years ago. So I want to use the same text that I preached 2 years ago, but it'll have a different twist to it. And it's almost like this is a part two to what we dealt with in January. Because we talked about the Forward Church in January, but we came from Genesis at the Tower of Babel, and we talked about the power of unity. But today I want to look at this first church, man. I think if you're going to be a forward church, if you're going to be a successful church, a church that progresses, I think the best thing that you can do is find a church that's already where you want to be, right? It's a great thing that if you plan to have a business or if you plan to go into a specific industry, there's nothing better than finding a model. There's nothing better than finding a mentor, a person who's already where you want to be, and then do what? Find out how they got there. Find out their habits. Find out their mindset. Find out their thoughts, their connections, their network, because all that can do is just help you get to where you want to be. Why? Because you want to be where they already are. I believe that the first church was the perfect model for a forward church. So I'll go out on a limb and just say we'll call the first church a forward church. Why? Because everything their hands touch, it prospered. The Bible lets us know that every day somebody was being saved. And you do know that was the purpose of the church, right? That was why the church was formed. The church was not formed to be a food housing place. All of the things that we offer were things that we think that are blessing to the community, but realize that was not the original intent of the church. The original intent of the church was to see souls saved and people come out of the clutches of Satan in their destiny to hell to become Christians and believers in Jesus Christ and have eternal life. So Luke, who is the writer of the book of Acts, also the writer of the book of Luke, he's a physician. He's not an apostle. He's not one of the 12, but he was a leader in the church. He was a close counterpart of Apostle Paul. And I think he was very intentional in not just telling us that this first church, Abel, was a successful church, but he gives us the DNA of that church. So this morning, I want to look at the DNA of a forward church. Is that okay with you? Okay, walk with me. Walk with me. In that chapter 2, 42nd verse, Luke opens up after the church has just started. In one day, the first church went from 120 members to 3,000. That's crazy, right? So Luke shares what happens. Peter preached the gospel. 3,000 people get saved and join the church. And then he goes right into say in verse 42, and they, which the people that got saved, the people that were a part of the church, they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. If you're writing and you want to know what the DNA of the forward church is, write this down. The forward church was a consistent church. Somebody shout out consistent church. Consistent church. What does that devoted mean? That phrase is literally continually devoted. It comes from the Greek word proskyterio, which means to continue despite difficulty. You got to catch that right there. It means that these Christians, they continue to be believers in the Word of God in spite difficulty. Pastor, what was their difficulties? You have to realize that this was a people that came out of one culture, and when you became a Christian, you went into a new culture, right? They were worshiping things that were not like God. They were under Judah, they were under the law, and God came in and changed some things. And guess what? When you became a Christian during this time, you had to deal with ridicule. Yeah. You were talked about. Some of us wouldn't even make it in that day and time as a Christian, right? Why? Because we don't like nobody talking about us. We want to be people pleasers. We want everybody to like us because we want everybody to be a part of our Facebook page, and we don't want to say anything that'll make anybody mad. But just because of the fact, Teresa, that you became a Christian during this time, people hated you. Yes. People talked about you. Yes. People lost relationships with family members because of their relationship with Jesus Christ. Because they became followers of what they called the way. Because they became Christians, people said, I don't want to deal with you no more, Paisley. I don't want to mess with you no more. I don't want to talk with you no more. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to be your friend. Get out of here, leave me alone. I can't stand you with your big hair self. That's what they had to deal with during that time. But the Bible said that they were devoted. It means that they continued regardless of how people dealt with them. And that's not the way the church is today. But I believe that God is calling us to be consistent. That's why Luke said they were a devoted church. What else did he say that he deals with about the devotion? It was consistent. And guess what? Consistency is something that we want with God. Yes. Can I just talk to y'all for a minute? Yes. How many of you don't want consistency from God? We all want consistency from God. In a relationship, what do you want? You want consistency from your man. Yes, right, ladies? All the ladies, you want some consistency from your man, don't you? You want him telling you how beautiful you are consistently, right? Robin, how many times you want him to tell you how beautiful you are a day? At least she said 20. Woo! Dante, you got some work, brother. Somebody else got 2, but you want some consistency. You want some consistent hugs. You want some consistent I love you. Brothers, it's a lot of things we want consistent too. We'll talk about that in the marriage class. But we just want some consistency, y'all. In relationship, how many of you want a consistent check on your job? Listen, I'm a believer. I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. But baby, if that check don't come, we got some problems on Friday, y'all. Brother, listen, I'm going to come in real nice, but somebody better have some answers and I need to check before I leave. We want some consistency. If I'm working 40 hours a week, man, I want my money if you told me that you were going to give me my money. We want consistency in our life. But here's the question I have for you as an individual. You want consistency from God, but does God get consistency from you? This is a self-examination lesson. You ain't running around for no houses today. Consistency. We want something from God that we're not willing to give. And why is that? Sometimes we treat God like he's some sugar daddy. Like we make some arrangement. I'll give you what you want. If you give me what I want. Really? You say, I don't treat him like that. Look at your consistency. Because he's loving you every day. He's covering you every day. That's the reason why you're still here. He's blessing you every day. He's forgiving you every day. Every time you ask for forgiveness. But here's the question. Are you loving him every day? Are you consistent? How consistent is your Bible reading? How consistent is your prayer time talking to him? How consistent is your attendance in church? How consistent is your giving? I'm going to turn around. They're going to be mad at me. They're going to think I'm looking at them. I'm going to lose 2 members today, I promise you. That's okay. He'll bring some more people. What were they consistent in? The Bible says that they were consistent in the apostles' teaching. Yes. What was that? Let's break that down. 1, they were consistent in learning what? Learning the teachings of Jesus Christ. If you still have your Bibles out, and if you look at that verse 46, it says, and day by day they did what? They attended the temple together. This was every day that they went to church to learn about Jesus Christ. This was not something that they did every now and then, but they went every day. It was a daily thing. Because of that right there, some of us would have said, a Christian ain't for me. That ain't for me right there. What you mean? Y'all going to church every day? No, that ain't for me. I'm going to have to stay over here in this thing right here where I'm worshiping these idol gods. That church thing ain't for me. We can't even come to church 2 times a week, let alone now. We done had to cut down Sunday morning service to 90 minutes just to get people to come to church. When in the first church, they were going every day. They were hungry for the word of God. And it's crazy because there's nothing in the Bible that tells us that the preacher had to preach a sermon about them going to church. They just wanted to be there. They wanted to be in the presence of God. They wanted to learn about Jesus. Ask yourself, why am I not hungry for the word of God? Why am I not hungry for the presence of God? Why not? What's wrong with me? Me and Melvin were talking yesterday, and he was talking about where he came from. One day, we'll let him share his testimony. He came out of gangs and all that stuff, and he's like, man, I don't understand why people are not excited about God, man. He's like, I just got this excitement because I know where I came from. I know what God brought me out of. He knows he came from a gang family on his mom's side and his dad's side, so what is he? He knows he could have been dead. He knows he could have been in prison, but God saved him before it was too late. And it's something when you realize the grace of God that's been on your life. Folks ain't got to drag you to church. Folks ain't got to try to convince you to pray. Folks ain't got to try to make you feel bad, because you just realize that if it had not been for the grace of God, where would I be? There's a lot of people that say, I don't know where I'd be, but I don't know about you, but I know where I would be. It ain't but a few choices. I'd be dead, or I'd still be in prison, or I'd be in a mental hospital somewhere. Who knows? But it ain't but a few places that I would be. Yes. So you can get an excitement just thinking about where you came from. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe that's a way to get your excitement back. When you think about where God brought you from, when you think about your little fast tale, you made it out of being fast without having 19 kids, then you got a reason to praise God. You and your little man self, you ain't got 11 baby mamas, so you got a reason.
Thank you, God.
Come on, because you know life would be different if you had 11 baby mamas, man. Marvin, it'd be rough for you. For us, you'd be broke, and Teresa would be like, I ain't married no broke man. I'll be doing 11 baby mamas. That's a reason to praise God right there. You ain't got no AIDS, you ain't got no diseases that's going to last forever. You got a reason. There's an excitement. These folks were excited because they knew where they came from. It was like, God, you chose me? My mama's not here. My daddy's not in church. My kids ain't in church. But God, you opened my eyes. Woo-hoo. This was a consistent group of people. They were not only consistent in learning the teachings of Jesus Christ, but they were consistent in living out the teachings of Jesus Christ. Listen, church, if we're going to be a forward-moving church, we can't just know the Word of God. We can't just hear the Word of God. But what do we have to do? You got to live it. I know I ain't 40 yet, but I still believe in holiness.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about holiness trying to achieve salvation, but I'm talking about living right because I got salvation. I don't try to live right. I don't try to do my best at living right and living the Bible because I want to make it into heaven, but I do that because I'm already going to make it into heaven. I know that blood has covered my sins. I know what grace is. I know that mercy is. But Paul said, do we take grace and take advantage of it? He said, by no means we don't do that. But it says they were consistent in the apostles' doctrine. And part of that was the way that they lived. Somebody shout, it was a consistent church. To be a forward-moving church, you got to be consistent. What else does he let us know? He said that they were not only consistent and devoted to the apostles' teaching, but also to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread. Number 2, if you're writing, the forward church was a linked church. Somebody shout, they were a linked church.
They were a linked church.
They were a linked church. What does link mean? It means they were connected. Fellowship. The Greek word there for fellowship is koinonia. Somebody say koinonia. It means partner. Catch this. I want you to listen to this because this is what the word means. When Luke said they fellowship, it means they partnered, they participated, and they were a community. You got to understand that. This is what the church was. This is what this first successful forward-moving church was. He said that they were consistent in fellowship. Consistent in what? They were consistent in being partners with each other. They were consistent in participating with each other. They were consistent in being a community. Church wasn't just a Sunday 10:30 to 12 p.m. get together. They did life together. That was the church. That was the church, brother. It wasn't an organization. It was a community. God showed me something, Mother Sherry, and I'm just going to look at you because somebody else is going to get mad at me. He showed me something on fellowship that I've never seen before, and I had to look at it. He said that if you notice in the church, the people who fellowship together the most just so happen to be the strongest and most victorious Christians.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I'm going to keep looking at you because I want to look at somebody and be like, he talking about me. He said, those who are the strongest seem to be those who fellowship the most with unbelievers. So I looked around the church in my mind and I thought, you know what? That's true. Because I looked on the other side and looked at the people who really don't fellowship as much with the other believers, and those are the ones who seem to be the most defeated in their life, seem to be the most inconsistent, seem to be the ones who have the most problems that they can't overcome. What was the connection? In fellowship, mother, it's something about a log being around fire that doesn't allow it to get cold. That's the thing. When we fellowship with other believers' faith, there's a fire in each and every one of us that doesn't allow one of those who we fellowship with to get cool.
That's good, sir.
When you don't fellowship with other believers, how are you going to stay up on fire?
Yeah.
How are you going to stay high? All of us in here as believers are logs in the kingdom of God. And if you're a log and you're not around other logs who are on fire, what's going to happen to you? I promise I ain't talking to nobody individual. This is a self-examination message.
Yes.
If we are going to be the Link Church, a forward-moving church, then guess what? We got to have forward-moving members.
Yes. That's good.
Let's talk about the benefits of church community and doing life together. One is like-minded friendships. I'm trying to teach you the benefit and the blessings of being a part of the community. Okay? What did I say the first one was? Like-minded friendship. The reason why some of us can't get over some of our hang-ups, some of our sins, some of the things that we were connected to before we gave our life to Christ is because we continue to hang around the same people who do those same things. You're trying to get away from drugs and alcohol. You gave your life to Christ. It doesn't mean that you're not saved, but why do I want to live the rest of my life defeated and I don't have to be? Why do I want to live the rest of my life addicted to something that I really don't want to be addicted to? And God can set me free.
Yes.
But those like-minded friendships, what does that do? You start hanging around people, and that old moniker that we still use sometimes, that birds of a feather, what? Flock together. It's true. You wonder why you can't get past some stuff. Look around the people that you're hanging around.
Yes.
I'm an alcoholic, still going out with alcoholics, trying to get off of alcohol. I'm a weed head, trying to get off of weed, but I keep hanging around people. I'm trying to stay out of jail, trying to stay out of catching these cases, but I keep spending my time with people who keep catching cases. And you're confused and baffled about what's going on.
Wow.
And you're like, God, how can you let some of this stuff happen to me? And God is like, hold up, bro. I ain't got nothing to do with none of that. You chose to do that. But when you get a part of the community and you get around like-minded people, it changes you. It transforms you.
Yes.
Why? Because you start hanging around people who don't do what you do, and what do? You're adept. Whoever the strongest person is in the group, everybody around them adapts. So if I'm you, I want to be around people who are stronger than me spiritually. I don't want to be around people and everybody's weaker than me.
Yes.
Check yourself. Check your circle. Who's in your circle? And you wonder why you're not moving forward in God. Could have something to do with the fellowship part of it. So the benefit of community and doing life together is not only like-minded friendship, but it's accountability.
That's good.
Listen, we all need accountability in our life. I don't care how old you are, how grown you are.
Yes.
Guess what? I'm a pastor, and I have a pastor.
Yeah.
I have a pastor. Brittany, I got a pastor that holds me accountable. I got a pastor that can call me tomorrow and say, April, you texting anybody that ain't your wife? You got any inappropriate, you texting any girl? When was the last time you texted a girl that wasn't your wife? What was it about? I got a pastor who can call me tomorrow, Marvin, and say, when was the last time you looked at porn? I give him accountability. And I know that call is going to come. At some point. How you doing at church? What's your finances like? How you treating your wife? When was the last time y'all fought? What was the fight about? That's why I hold myself accountable. So when you're a part of a community and you have this accountability, it helps you with your lifestyle, especially when they know, listen, we gotta tell somebody about the struggles that we're having.
That's good. Yes, sir.
That's a benefit of community. When you can tell somebody that, hey man, I'm struggling with alcohol. Hey man, I'm struggling with pornography. Hey man, I'm struggling in my marriage. I can't stay faithful. I need you to hold me accountable. I need you to pray for me. See, too many of us, we don't have any accountability partners. We don't have anybody we can call and pray with. And then we wonder why we stay defeated. Man, I'm trying to help somebody be victorious. Is anybody tired of losing in this walk, losing in this life? God gave us a model. The church is to be a blessing to you.
Yes.
Not just you be a blessing to the church. So what did we say the first benefit of community, fellowship, and doing life together was? Like-minded friendship. What was the second one? Accountability. All of us need accountability. If you're not connected to somebody, guess what? You'll miss church for a month and won't nobody even know it.
Right.
And we got people leaving churches because nobody called them and was like, you always came once a month. We didn't know something was wrong. But when you're a part of a community, guess what happens? You can walk in church and Kiara can be like, something ain't right about you. What's going on? The smile ain't the same. When you're around, they can just walk in and you can come in and they can just be like, when they give you a hug, they'll be like, you didn't hug me like you always hug me. What's wrong? What's going on? You telling me you don't want that in your life? Last one on fellowship, the opportunity to impact somebody else's life. We talked about that last week with being a link. Life is not just about you. But when you're a part of a community, when you're a part of the fellowship, guess what? God can use your gifts. There's something inside of you, sis, that God wants to use to bless somebody else.
Yes.
There's something inside of you, brother. I don't know what it is. I don't know you personally, but there's something inside of you that God says, man, I want to use it to bless other men. What you have can bless other teenagers.
Yeah.
He said, I just need you to give it to me. I just need you to be available. I just need you to be in the place where I can use your gift, your calling, your anointing. But he's like, I can't do it if you ain't here. I can't do it if you ain't part of the family. Well, I don't got to go to church to use my gift. No, God wants you to use it in and outside. He don't want you to just use it inside, but he don't want you to just use it outside either. He wants you to use it in the kingdom and outside of the kingdom. And too many believers, too many Christians are only using our gifts on the outside of the church. But fellowship and community, it allows you to use those gifts on the inside. Somebody shout, the Forward Church was a linked church. And then he goes on to say they were not only devoted to the apostles' teaching, they were not only devoted to the fellowship and the breaking of bread, but they were also devoted to prayer. Number 3, if you're writing, the Forward Church was a praying church. Somebody shout, the Forward Church was a praying church. Listen, a praying church sees prayer as a necessity. A forward church sees prayer as a necessity. You got to realize who's the church. The church is made up of people. So it's not the linked church that sees prayer as a necessity, but it has to be the people who attend.
Yes, amen.
So that means if you're going to see prayer as a necessity, it's going to start at home. Do you know that if many of us had prayer life, we would miss out on half the hell that we have to deal with in our homes? If many of us had prayer life, we missed out on half the hell that we had to deal with our children and with our spouses. It doesn't mean that we wouldn't deal with no trouble, but I believe if we had prayer life, it would cut half of that. It would cut some of that stuff in half. Why? Because when you have prayer life, God can speak to you, and God can lead you, and God can direct you. Singles, you want to be married to somebody who got a prayer life. How many singles we got in the building? Raise your hand. Singles. You need to be with somebody who got a prayer life. What's the point of that? Because I don't know about you, but if my wife treated me wrong, I hope that God can speak to her and she can hear. I'm the only one. Don't you want to have a man, ladies, who God can talk to and say, hey, you need to be a little bit nicer. You need to be a little bit, you know, the way you talk, because God talks to me all the time. Now, I don't always tell my wife. Because I can't be telling her every time God talking to me, Robin. You know, I just gotta, hey baby, it's all good, I'm sorry, I apologize. Even though God was beating me up for 30 minutes before that. But you wanna have some people who pray, you wanna have some friends who can pray for you. Watch this, I wonder if we got on the line and I asked you, how many people in your inner circle can get a prayer through for you?
That's good.
Y'all wanna do that survey real quick? Raise your hand if you got 3 friends in your inner circle that can get a prayer through for you.
Yes.
Raise your hand if you got 2 friends. Raise your hand if you got no friends. Who can be honest? Raise your hand if you got no friends in your inner circle that you believe can get a prayer through to Jesus Christ and he hears them. Go ahead, raise your hand. If you was willing to be honest, I'll pair you up with somebody right now. I'm going to ask you a question one more time and give you an opportunity to get a prayer partner on this morning. Raise your hand if you don't have one person on your inner circle, your vent team, your cry team, that if they pray to Jesus Christ, you know that Jesus hears them. Raise your hand. Well, give God a praise. Everybody in here, part of the prayer circle. Some of y'all lying like a mother. You know you ain't got nobody that can pray for you. If you went into the hospital right now, I'll be the first one, the second one you call after your mom, and I'll go up in there, and all your friends be sitting around there, and I'll be like, let her pray. No. I'm good. Let your hollering at my singles. You better get you a man of God. You better get you a woman of God.
Yes, amen.
I don't call my pastor first. When something's going on, I can call my wife first.
Yes.
My wife ain't got to call our pastor first. She can call me first. And she know I can lay hands on her. You better become first. If you're already married, you better become somebody who can lay hands on your spouse when they sick and they shall recover by faith. First become, and the single, first become what you really want in your life.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So,
Help us.
we're trying to become a praying church. We see it as a necessity. Guess what? God can trust a church that prays.
Yes, ma'am.
You know that? God can trust a church that prays. God can trust a person that prays.
That's good.
He can trust a person that prays. Watch this. Let me ask you this question. I know the time is going down, but it's all good in the hood. How many of you would give your children, say your child turned 21, y'all didn't have a personal relationship with when it comes to when they need wisdom, they wouldn't come to you. How many of you would give them $1 million knowing that you're a finance manager and you know they wouldn't come to you for financial management advice? Raise your hand if you give your child $1 million. Why? You're an expert in the area and you already know they wouldn't come to you for advice. And you're wondering, some of you are wondering right now why God won't bless you with the things that you want. You had no idea that it could possibly be tied to your prayer life. How is that? I don't get it, Pastor. You telling me that God won't make me a millionaire because I don't have a prayer life? That's a possibility. Why is that? Because you don't talk to him. Because you don't ask for direction from him. You don't ask for guidance from him. So why would he make you a millionaire and he knows that you're not even going to ask him, what do you want me to do with it? How do I manage it? Who do you want me to bless with it? After I buy my house with a white picket fence. A praying church, a praying person can be trusted more. Because God is like, I know she's going to ask me what to do. I know Kiara. I know Kayla. If I can bless Kayla with this business because she's going to ask me how to run it. I can bless her with a husband. I can bless her with a wife. Why? Because she's going to pray how to be the best wife. How do I be a good husband? How do I be a CEO? How do I be an entrepreneur? I can bless her with this management position because she's going to ask me how to do it, how to run it, how to live. I can bless her with children because she's going to raise them up and she's going to ask me, how do I deal with them? How do I love them?
Yes.
You want God to trust you more? Become a prayer warrior. Become somebody who prays consistently. And when you pray, you have an ear, you can hear.
Yes.
Because you know, at any moment, God will say, turn left.
Yes.
Man, I don't know. God be tripping sometimes, y'all. I ain't even gonna lie. He don't always give us the 3 steps plan next.
No.
He just be like, go.
Right.
And that's it. He just be like, get in the car and drive up 20. Like, for real, God? First of all, you know I'm on getting close to eating. So I need to know if I need to pull over and get some gas first because I don't know how far you're going to take me. You just going to take me to Grand Prairie off 20, that's cool. I can make it back home without getting no gas. Or you trying to take me to Fort Worth. If you're trying to take me to Fort Worth, then I need to fill up now because I know I'm not going to make it. God is like, drive, go. And when we don't have no prayer life, we're not going to be able to hear him when he said, exit, go get gas because I'm taking you farther than where you thought you were going to go. So I need a prayer life because I know God has some great amazing, maybe you don't believe that God has some great amazing things for you. Maybe you don't believe that I need a God who can direct me because I know I'm going far in this life.
Yes.
But if we get some praying people,
Come on.
God can trust the people, and then what happens? Then he can trust the church. Why? Because we got a church full of praying people. Okay, so the Forward Church, it was a praying church. A church that prays understands that she has no power without God. Not only that, I won't labor on those, but she understands that she needs guidance from God. After that, he said that they were a praying church. Then he jumps down to 4. This is crazy. crazy right here, right? I'm going to show you something crazy in the church. In that verse 44, what does it say? It says, and all who believed were together and had all things in common, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. Number 4, last one, and we out of here like last year. The Forward Church was a generous church. That's crazy, right? They were selling stuff, selling their own stuff, giving it to other people in the church. They were a generous church. One, they were generously giving to each other.
Right.
That's a forward-moving church. When you got people that can look around and see the needs in the church and start sowing into other people's lives. Listen, you know, one of the things that I hate when a member comes to me, brother, and says, Brother Johnny don't have no food. I hate that. I feel like I missed the mark, April, when it comes to teaching the people. When somebody come to me, when a member can come to me and say, Brother Johnny needs some food. You know what? I'm like, if Brother Johnny needs some food, why are you talking to me instead of being in the grocery line with Brother Johnny, getting Brother Johnny some food? Yeah. Do you need some food too? Do you need $25 for yourself? Because I'm wondering, why do you think that the church needs to provide $25 to your brother that sits next to you in the pew? That wasn't the church back then. The church was blessing people. The church was feeding the mothers, the widows. But the text there says that people were selling stuff and just seeing needs.
Wow.
I'm challenging you at the Link Church. I'm challenging you at whatever church you go to, your community, on your job, to be a need meter. That's what I'm challenging you right there. To start saying, God, show me needs of people around me. Show me the needs of the people in the church. And you'll be surprised, Marvin. All of a sudden, you'll start seeing things that you never saw before. And God will start speaking to you. You'll leave here right now and you say, God, show me some needs that I can meet because God has blessed me financially. And then what? Before you walk out the door, God will be like, look down, and you'll see a brother's shoes. And you'll be like, I see that brother every week. God, you show me his shoes, and God like, bless that brother with the pair of shoes you just bought last week. Or he'll see you sisters, he'll say, look at her shoes. Or he'll show you a woman's face. And in her face, you'll just see hungry, starving. It may not even be food, it may not be clothing, it may just be he shows you that she needs encouragement. Show me the needs of the people. That's what I'm challenging. So they were not only generous to each other, but they were also generous to the church. If you go to 4, at the end of chapter 4, I'm done. It says that, which is dude named Philip, they were selling land. One brother went and sold a piece of land and gave it to the church. I'm like, God, some of us, we struggle with giving $20, and in the beginning of the church movement, you had brothers who were selling land, donating the money to the church. I've shared this before, and when I first read that a while ago, a long time ago, God showed me, look at that word. It said, A. In that verse, it said that he sold a field of his. What does that mean? He had multiple fields. He was wealthy. God didn't tell him to sell the only field that he had. And I had to ask the question, God, was this intentional? Did you make him wealthy the whole time just for this moment? Remember, this is the beginning of the church movement. This is not 100 years later. This is not 50 years later. This is like a couple of weeks in. Like the church just started like 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Did he make him a millionaire in 2 weeks? So you're telling me God had made him wealthy his entire life? So at this moment,
Come on, sir.
he could go and get some of it back. We wonder again why God won't make you wealthy. Because he knows that when I come back to get a piece of it, you won't release it. He says, you won't release it. You want me to give you a 6-figure job? And then when I come back and say, I need 1,000 of it to do ministry? You're going to say, no, God, that's too much. Here's 100. You want 25 rental properties? And then when I come to you and say, I want you to turn one into a housing for abused women, you're going to be like, huh? I'm going to lose money. I'm going to lose money. That's why he's going to bless you in so many different areas. But this was a church that was generous, not only to each other, but to the church. They were a successful, forward-moving church. And I believe that God has called the Lead Church to be a forward, successful, moving church. But it's going to have to start with me and you. It's going to have to start with me and you. We're going to have to be devoted and consistent. We're going to have to take prayer seriously. We're going to have to be givers to people next to us and givers to the kingdom movement. And then I believe, as the Bible said at the end of that chapter 2, that they had favor with all men and people were getting saved every day. Look at somebody and say, I want to be a part of a forward-moving church. Stand to your feet and give God a praise. You've done